Hey everybody, sorry that I am late. I know I'm supposed to start at 6, but unfortunately coming home from work this afternoon, there was an accident on the 182, and so I had to turn around. I made it home, I just had to go around across the Blue Bridge. So for all of you that live in the Tri-Cities, you know exactly what I just dealt with, so I'm just running late. But anyway, I wanted to make sure that I got home and was able to talk to you today about a little bit about how stress can affect your health goals. I promise that I'm working on like a studio setup so that you don't see like my bedroom in the background, but it's just not quite there yet. So yeah, anyway, I am tan if you can't tell from the lighting. I just got back from Cancun. It was a little rough coming home to 30-degree weather when it is still in the 80s in Cancun. I have a nice tan going on there. See that? I got a tan. But anyway, had a blast. And actually going on vacation is what gave me the idea of talking a little bit about stress today. So we're gonna talk about how stress can actually prevent you from reaching your health goals. Yeah, stuff in the background there. Don't look. Like I said, I ran in here and sat down as fast as I could. But let's talk a little bit about that. You know, I know a lot of you are kind of thinking about the holidays. You're not really thinking quite yet about your New Year's resolutions, which, you know, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions anyway, because to me, honestly, what changes January 1st that you couldn't have dealt with, say, November 1st? Plus, I really feel like resolutions, I can't even talk today. Resolutions are short-lived. Most people don't think about what they're putting into it. They just make these great big goals, and then within about a week they realize it was slightly unrealistic and they kind of just give up. But you know, it's still, this time of the year is something to think about, because a lot of times, you know, people do put on some body fat when they're, you know, attending all these parties, drinking a little more alcohol than usual. You know, it is something to think about. So, you know, there are definitely some things to consider, and stress definitely is one of them. So first thing I want to talk about though is, you know, stress could be part of it. Definitely, we're going to talk about why and what you can do about that. But you know, the first thing that you need to look at is you need to look at your ultimate lifestyle and see what else could be a variable and what's preventing you from reaching your health goals. Now, I know that I put weight loss on there. You know that I'm not a fan of the word weight loss because that doesn't mean much. I prefer fat loss, but it got your attention, didn't it? So again, I think some people have a real unrealistic expectation of how little effort they probably need to put into getting where they want to go, and that then they realize, wow, they don't get why things aren't working. So, you know, you really have to look at, are you really putting forth the effort that it takes to get where you want to go, right? You know, as a bigger woman, when I weighed 210 pounds, all I had to do was clean up my diet a little bit. And obviously I saw results because my lifestyle in general was so unhealthy. You know, I was eating things that, even things I thought were healthy that I realize now definitely weren't healthy. All I had to do was clean it up a little bit, and yeah, I saw some changes. Now I can't live like that. Like when I do, you know, going to Cancun and staying at an all-inclusive resort, and pretty much it's really difficult to even try to eat healthy in that situation. My body reacts immediately. So the leaner that you are, the smaller the person that you are, the more you're going to have to put into it. So the first thing people have to really do is look at, are they really making the changes necessary to get where they want to go? You know, have you really cut out all processed food and sugar? Are you still eating too many carbs? You know, there really is some things that you have to look at there. But I have been in situations with clients where we have looked at everything else. You know, we've really hit each of that part of the formula. We know what their bodies are being affected by, and we're really still struggling to figure out why their body's not responding correctly. And this is one of those things that can make a difference, because, you know, stress really does have a huge effect on your body. And we're not just talking about in a situation where you tend to, you know, eat your feelings, although that is something that does happen. You know, we get stressed out, and depending on our habits and how our body responds to things, a lot of times we like that feel-good dopamine release that sugar or processed food can give us. That's why we call it comfort food. But we're also talking about how your body actually reacts hormonally to stress. There are some major things that go on with inside your body. You know, your body is a holistic being, and everything that you do affects everything that you're trying to do. I didn't understand in the beginning, and of course I do now because I researched like a crazy person, how the psychological part of things affects the physical part of things. I think sometimes we look at the physical aspect as being completely separate when it's really not. If you've ever been in a situation where you're really like scared or nervous and you get like the butterflies in your stomach, that is a physical reaction to a psychological issue. So again, your body can have the same issues when it comes to how it responds to stress. And part of that is, if you think about the fact that body fat is your body's survival mechanism on more than one level. We're not just talking again physical, we're talking about mental and emotional as well. There's so much more to it. So even just think about the commercials and things that you see on TV about cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that it's your fight or flight hormone, your body's response to stress. Your body releases it. Now it's necessary. It's necessary on multiple levels. Cortisol is actually what helps you wake up in the morning. Your body releases some cortisol to kind of get you moving in the morning. Just like serotonin helps your body, melatonin helps your body go to sleep. But it also, if you think about it, in the days of our ancestors, when they were literally running for survival, they needed that in order to get away. Well, when you're in a position like that and you're scared, your body has no desire to deal with digestion or eat or burn fat as fuel. Your body is solely dealing with the stressor at that moment. The problem is although most of us are not running for our lives, so Christian says that he was under a lot of stress during his last prep and body wasn't responding to previous. Yeah, it's totally true. First of all, prep is never the same. One of the hardest things in working with competitors as a coach is that, especially if I've worked with them before, they think the second time around should be so similar to the first, and it's not. Your body changes completely. And of course, everything that's going on in your life has a lot to do with how your body responds to that as well. So Christian, thank you for that comment, because that is totally true. So while you are under any sort of stress, basically your body has to deal specifically with stress. And even though we're not fighting for our lives, like I said, we're not running for our lives, we are all usually at this point in this day and age under kind of a low level of consistent stress. It's not the stress itself that causes the problem, it's how our body responds to it. So instead of dealing efficiently with how our body should work, which is of course, not necessarily retaining energy in the form of fat, burning, what you do eat as energy, your body kind of suspends that part of how it works efficiently and it just deals with the stress. So, if you're consistently stressed out, and again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't even have to be big stressors. It can be a small amount of stress, but anything that causes your body to respond by producing cortisol, even a low grade of cortisol, your body does not deal with the food. It doesn't digest. It doesn't respond to how your body's supposed to work with food and energy and that equation in a really efficient, healthy manner. So, I think that because it's the combination of the convenience of processed food, which honestly does nobody's body good. It's that combination along with the stress, the fact that we eat too much of it on a regular basis. We're supposed to eat food for fuel. Again, I know there's benefits and traditions and social and things like that go along with it, but most of us eat way more than our bodies need, and then of course put that stress on top of it, and our body has no choice but to store fat, and there's no reason for it to tap into those fat stores for fuel, because again, it's dealing with other things. So let's talk about how, I can already hear you going, okay, but how do I prevent stress? How do I get rid of stress in my life? That's a tough one, but you're talking to the right girl, because unfortunately, I'm a workaholic. And I'll tell you a couple things about what I'm thinking about on that. But number one, I am going to tell you that versus food, which again, I know that most of us can value food to some degree as a stress release, especially comfort food. And again, there are times that I do eat my feelings, not gonna lie. But the better option would be exercise, because of course there's multiple benefits to that. Now don't tell me you have time, because that's gonna be a topic for another time very soon. But when people tell me they don't have time, I'm like, how are your friends doing on Facebook? Because that's just garbage right there. Exercise, there's so many benefits, right? Because of course the endorphins that exercise brings can help kind of dissipate that stress. I find that lifting weights and throwing things around and just being angry and listening to angry music at the same time is a great stress release. It makes me feel better. Plus I'm accomplishing 2 health benefits in one single appointment. there's just no downside to it. And even if you're not used to it, everybody has to start somewhere. It's okay if it's just at home, body weight, but at some point, of course, we have to move on. But obviously, there is no downside to exercise, no matter where you start. So that is a really great option. And sometimes you might have to sit down and think about what your triggers are to that stress and how to combat that specific situation. Again, a topic for another time, but a really great tool is to journal what's going on and what triggers those cravings and those things that cause your body to respond that way. But the second one is the one idea that brought forward this topic tonight, which is take breaks and make sure that you take vacations. Let me just tell you, we spent 5 nights in Cancun, and it usually takes me the first 2 to 3 days just to calm down. And I didn't realize how tightly wound up that I get until I come home. It was tough to come home, guys. And not just the weather, but literally this morning, I got home yesterday. It was great. I felt good. I still was relaxed. I still, even the plane ride, even though it's tough on my body, I just felt good being down there and just relaxing and sitting in the sun for a few days. I got home this morning, got up and got moving, and within an hour I had a headache. I started having an anxiety attack. So really, it's important that we learn to take breaks. That's why it's important to have days off, even though I'm not good at that. Because your body needs that time off. It needs to be able to calm down. I'm aware that there's things in life that have to happen. We have to work for a living. We have to take care of our families. Those are important. But if you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of other people. So, the most important one is you, just because, again, if you are sick, you can't help anybody else. Same thing, if you are dead, you can't serve others as well. So you have to take care of you. So it is important. Before last year, it had been a good 7 years before my husband and I had taken a really decent vacation break. We'd go and do stuff here and there, maybe for a weekend, but it'd been about 7 years before we'd taken an actual vacation. And we vowed at that point that we would never go that long again, just because I can't run at the level that I do without taking that time for myself and having a break and being able to recuperate, regenerate, recover, and be the best me that I possibly can be. Number 3, so we're talking about stress reduction here. And again, everybody's different, everybody's lifestyle's a little bit different, but there might be people that you need to remove from your life. Now, I know that especially when it's family or maybe coworkers or something that is really difficult to completely remove out of your life. However, you can limit your time in their space. So, I feel everybody's important. I feel that everybody is worthwhile on this earth, but that doesn't mean that I have to allow them to be part of my life. One of the benefits of my job is that I get to actually pick and choose who I work with. And so, I have an ultimate benefit there that if there's not a good match there, if it's somebody that really is a really negative downward person, I don't need that in my space. Life is difficult enough without those kind of people there. So there are people that I've actually chosen in my past to not allow into my life. Some of them I limit because, again, maybe they're family or they're close friends, and that's, I don't not want to have them in my life. However, there are people in my past that were just so negative that I have taken every necessary choice there to actually block them from my life, because I just don't need that. Again, life is tough enough without allowing those people to bring you down. So, if there's somebody that really is stressing you out, if they are not supportive of you, maybe they mean well, but they really bring you down. They don't, you know who I'm talking about. I'm sure that you've got a couple of those people in your mind right now that you're like, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so that I work with. Like, really, they cause me such stress. So, if you can limit the communication, again, even just the energy when they walk in the room, those are the people you feel, they just drain you. That's a rough one. I really don't have, I'm a high energy person, but I don't want to share that with people that are going to take it from me. So, that's part of it. Number 4, you gotta get enough sleep. This one's been a huge struggle for me, especially for the last few years, although I'm really trying hard to make sure that I get that, partially because I know that I cannot be at optimum level without that rest. And I can feel it. Like I spent a couple of years living on about 5.5 hours of sleep. And now I look back and I don't know how I did it because of course, you know, I was sick more often. At this point, I mean, there's things that happen while you sleep that your body needs in order to be at your best. And we're not just talking about, we're talking about any health goals. We're talking about, notice that when you don't get enough sleep, it's not just your energy levels that are low, your patience might be a struggle, too many days of that. And you're going to find that if, I've even had clients where, again, they've struggled to lose weight, which again, I don't like that term, but have struggled to reach their goals. And in looking back and kind of going through things, we realize, okay, obviously enough sleep is causing a situation there. And once they were able to, you know, change some things around and make sure they were getting enough sleep, their body responded very, very positively. So, you know, I think that we've all been told, well, you know, exercise is going to get you where you want to go. There's more than one thing in that equation that has to happen in order for you to, for your body to respond the way that it's supposed to. And it can only handle that stress for so long before it's going to show outwardly, whether that's fat gain or, you know, some other things there. So getting enough sleep is really, really important, you know, and there's other smaller things that you can do on a regular basis that are going to help, you know, learning to breathe. I know that's a rough one for me as well. My husband will actually catch me going, okay, you're not even taking deep breaths. You're like, so learning to stop, breathe, meditate, you know, if you do yoga or something where it slows your body down, makes you kind of get in your head, or get out of your head, I would say, and really kind of focus on the quiet or your breathing, those kind of things. It makes such a big difference because again, it just removes the part of that stress, the heart rate that is higher, your blood pressure goes up. We're trying to avoid that. So finding ways to calm down. Now, the one that I tell people, you know, don't be afraid if you're really struggling with some things in your life that need to be resolved. Make sure that you seek professional help. There are people out there that is a profession. They have studied, they've had enough experience. They know how to help you work through that. And it's not always about you having to figure that out on your own. I mean, there's times where we all need help, whether it's just talking it through with a friend. But again, if that's not enough, or if it's not something that you're willing to share with others, you may need to find some professional help. And don't think that that's a bad thing. Again, it's not that you're not resolving it yourself. You're just having someone else help you work through that in order to get past the situation. And you know, we've all, it's totally relative, but what's difficult for you may not be something that's difficult for me, and vice versa. We don't know what each other's demons are, but it is important that we find ways to cope. And I think that's really, in this day and age, one thing that the skills that are not being passed on to us as human beings is coping skills. And I can see that in a myriad of ways, not just the millennial thing, but even just, you know, the mass shootings and the crazy things that are going around the world, is that nobody's taught how to cope. I mean, life is going to be difficult. We just have to learn how to deal with it. That's the important part, right? So hopefully that helps. You know, if you're really struggling with this and this is something that you really feel that you need a little more guidance with, you know, my job, I'm not a professional psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm a coach. However, you know, one of the things I've learned to do as a coach is how to help guide people to the right situation. You know, just like if somebody's sick, you know, I can't necessarily help them with that, but you know, here's a doctor. Hey, your hormones are screwed up. I can send you to the right person that can help you with that. That's the job of a coach. So if you are unsure on what to do to help your situation, if stress is a real situation for you that you need to deal with, don't be afraid to direct message me or leave a message below. And of course, you guys, I really do get my best ideas from you. So make sure that you let me know. Like if you have a question, I love this. I want to help people. I notice I don't make money doing this, but that's not why I do it. I want people to be healthy and happy, and of course, pass it on. So anyway, you know what? Happy holidays. December's here. My goal is to try and get all our Christmas stuff up. Came home, like I said, from warm weather to freezing cold weather and having to jump right into the holiday season. So I've got Christmas music blaring in my car at this point, trying to get myself there. It'll happen. It's all good. I love this time of year. I love spending time with my family. So have an incredible evening, you guys. Yes, there will be meals with Melissa this weekend. It'll be at a special time just because I've got a little bit of traveling to do. But I'll let you know what that is. But, you know, everybody's so excited when I give them a new recipe on that. So I will definitely be doing that this week. And, of course, next week, a new topic, a new question. Maybe it'll be yours. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you soon.